And as soon as that's live, this is good for the video, folks. It's unofficial. I make the Alpha Geek Media thing live. Okay. Here we go.
This is a public DTNS announcement. A message in English will follow. Välkommen till showen med dagliga teknologiska nyheter med Tom, Merritt och gäster. Jag heter Carl och är en av flera exekutiva medproducenter och alltså en av Toms chefer. Det kan du också bli genom att donera $1 eller mer i månaden på patreon.com.
This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, September 10th, 2015. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me, it's been way too long since we had Ewen Rankin, senior editor of the British Tech Network, on the show. But in honor of the Queen passing Queen Victoria as the longest reigning monarch in British history, we thought we'd have him back.
Send her victorious, mate. We are bubbling here in the UK, and she's just normal. Just did all her duties as normal yesterday. No big fuss, no palaver.
Yeah, just doing, padding around in a fantastic hat, as usual.
What a woman.
Yeah.
And you think about it, I've got to say as well, you know, if you're a royal member of a royal family, if you put the kind of dedication in, she's had no life whatsoever. Other than being a queen, but, you know,
think of, what is it? Is it 67? Is that right?
Yeah. But at someone else's behest, effectively.
Right. Oh. Can't imagine. Don't want to imagine.
Nonsense.
I mean, more money, more problems, right? Although she doesn't even have that much money.
Oh, she's not too bad, mate.
I mean, she's not complaining, right? That's a fair point.
Let's put it that way.
All right, we are here to talk about technology, though, so let's get into some headlines. Google's payment system Android Pay rolls out today in the United States. Android Pay will work at stores like Best Buy, Walgreens, Subway, Whole Foods, and GameStop with a NFC-enabled Android device or online through your in-app purchases. Android Pay supports debit and credit cards from Visa, MasterCard, Discover, Amex, and a number of bank credit unions. Google says it will roll out Android Pay gradually over the next few days and expand the number of supported banks and stores over the next few months. So we've got Apple Pay, got Android Pay supplanting Google Wallet. Google Wallet now becomes kind of a sharing money thing like Square, and then we've got Samsung Pay. And none of these are really catching fire here in the U.S., Ewan. Is it any different in the U.K.?
No, I think it's a bit of a lottery as well as Apple Pay's shown here in the UK. We've had the rollout with everyone else, and actually I'm with Barclays, and Barclays want to start their own proprietary system, so they're not in the Apple Pay system, so none of my cards work in Apple Pay. So I think there's a bit of consumer fatigue perhaps in some of the pay systems. The ones that are in love it, but the ones that can't get in are just kind of, you know what, can't be asked. I'm just going to tap the number in and be done with it.
Yeah. Well, and I've used Apple Pay a few times and loved it. But even when I've been back to a store that uses it, sometimes I forget. It's just not ubiquitous enough to keep top of mind.
Yeah, there's no signs up, is there? It's just, I think that we got one of the guys that works at BTN. He lives in Norwich, which is, you know, fairly out in the sticks, and he found an old lady in a shop, and he used Apple Pay for the first day that it was out, and she nearly accused him of witchcraft. It was that bad.
That's funny. The Verge reports that Office 2016 for Windows will launch on September 22nd, folks. New features include real-time editing by multiple people at once, within your desktop apps anyway. Some new design themes. Microsoft will also release new tools for businesses to manage Office updates. Just something to tick off if you're a Windows Office user. September 22nd, you're getting your update. Niantic Labs is working with the Pokemon Company and Nintendo on Pokemon Go, a smartphone-based augmented reality game. Engadget suspects Niantic, which makes the game Ingress, is probably using the location-based backend of that game to allow players to catch, fight, and trade Pokemon in the real world. The game also includes a Bluetooth-enabled red and white Pokeball that flashes and vibrates when there are Pokemon nearby. Pokemon Go will be available for both Android and iOS in 2016. Thanks to DJ Sakani, by the way, for posting this on the Daily Tech News Show subreddit. You and I don't mean to speak for you, but I'm guessing that you and I are past the Pokemon generation. No,
you're kidding, I can't wait.
Are you gonna collect them all or catch them all or whatever?
No, my boy would love this. He's going to be over the moon with that, definitely. My son and my daughter have both got iPads, and they love that kind of stuff. So he's still into. He makes sense of Pokemon, which to me just means that I need to refer him for mental health, really, because I don't understand him myself.
Well, I get the general like the way the game works and everything. I
It's
also
trading cards.
really impressed by this video they show where you've got Pokemon like jumping out of the water and running down the road and fighting in Times Square. It's not going to look like that though. Like I want to see what this thing is actually going to look like, and nothing was a real representation of the game. It seemed like.
Yeah, no, I mean it's the videos are always great. I mean, you know, they always come with that not actual in-game footage underneath, don't they? So you've got to take it with a pinch of salt.
Facebook released statistics showing its active users in Africa grew 20% to 120 million in June. Nigeria has 15 million monthly active Facebook users. South Africa clocks in with 12 million, and Kenya with 4.5 million. Most of the users on the continent access Facebook on a mobile device, as you might guess. Really just another notch to say, yeah, Facebook's efforts in Africa seem to be paying off.
Yeah, I think one of the things that people don't look at Africa as an advanced internet nation. I know it's not a nation. I know you sound like I was running for Miss World, didn't it, God? But no, you know, the nations of Africa, they don't see it as internet advanced, and actually they're probably running faster speeds than most of us are in the West, and they're probably running at cheaper plans than most of us are in the West as well as. So.
Yeah, it's a misunderstood marketplace, and there have been a few good articles about this recently. The Next Web had a great one today. TechCrunch had one yesterday. In fact, we're going to try to get Eric Olander on. He covers Africa for a financial network, and he's been on the show before, and it's very up to speed on what's going on there. Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, a lot of those countries you hear about maybe when there's some kind of trouble, but they're very fast growing markets, especially for technology right now.
I want to see how many of those Nigerian accounts though are princes.
See, that's the joke, right? I think that's Nigeria's benchmark is when they get to the point where people stop thinking of princes when they think of Nigeria and start thinking of IT companies, they will know they have made it.
When all of those emails were actually written in America.
Yeah, right. They weren't written in, none of them were written in Nigeria, I bet. Baidu launched a voice assistant for Android-based smartphones called Doer, D-U-E-R. Apparently it means Secretary Do, D-U. Baidu World Conference on Tuesday was where the announcement took place. The app will initially be limited to Chinese users ordering food and accessing on-demand services. Baidu plans to expand Doer's capability to include voice control for Internet of Things, control of smart devices in the home, and connections to healthcare providers and other service providers. Do you use Siri or Cortana or any of these very often? I think I'm sort of missing out because I don't find them that useful.
No, there was a phase probably during iOS 7 and the early days of iOS 8 where you'd actually put in Siri, can you do the following? And it'd go, I'm sorry, I can't do that right now. And you're like, oh, come on, you've got an internet connection, but it just flaked. But it's not like that at all now. And Cortana knocks strips off Siri. I mean, I set a reminder on Siri. Siri, when I get home, remind me to do the following. It still hasn't reminded me, and that was 6 months ago. Whereas Cortana actually allows you to say, this is home, whereas Siri wants a postcode, and actually it thinks my house is round the corner from where I live, so it's convinced that I never go home.
I take it back. The one that I do use is the Amazon Echo, and I really wish that it was available on my phone. Because there are times when I'm not in the room with my Amazon Echo when I'm like, oh, I want to add something to my shopping list or I want to make a to-do list note, and I can't do it. I can't use it that way. So it's not quite as convenient as I would like. Now, Amazon's made that the SDK available for people to use and put into more things, but I'd like to see Amazon come out.
We don't have the Echo, but we do have the Fire TV, and in terms of searching for stuff on Fire TV, it's excellent. So I guess it's using the same engine.
I just want to point out, though, we went through that entire story about Baidu Doer, and you didn't make the joke you were promising to make.
Baidu Do.
Yeah, there we go.
No. The interesting thing I thought with this is Baidu launched an assistant for Android-based smartphones. Well, Baidu is the largest search engine in China, and it says it's limited to China to begin with. Well, it's a surprise.
Yeah.
But actually, I think it'd be interesting, jokes aside, to see what they actually achieve with this in Chinese, and then see what's going to come across and how that's going to relate then to other search engines, what other search engines will pick up from it. Because, I mean, Google really would be stupid not to have a Chinese-speaking department who are monitoring this and seeing what happens. Well,
and that's why you're seeing them wanting to get back into China with the Google Play Store, because that is less problematic than putting search back into China, and it's also where all the money is. They got dollar signs in their eyes, and then they can get things like the Google Voice Assistant into China. But right now they can't. It's much more difficult. PC Mag reports that Periscope will now let users broadcast in landscape mode. Hooray! Let your Ewoks dance. Shoot off your fireworks. Viewers can tilt to landscape as well, or they can continue to stubbornly watch in portrait, and it'll just be a smaller video. Among other updates with Periscope, an easier way to tell who's sharing a video in your feed. Android users now have the option of private broadcasting, selecting audience from a list of followers. That private broadcasting will eventually come to iOS as well. Are you one of the folks who fights against portrait video?
Well, no. I mean, I actually shot something in portrait video for a customer about 6 weeks ago because it was going on a TV screen. And a lot of the TV screen stuff that we get now in the underground or in transit stations for general public transport is a portrait piece of video on a screen that's turned on its side. So I think there's a very definite place for portrait video. If you're talking about getting the kind of ridiculous portrait shot videos that then appear in a landscape window on YouTube, yeah, that frustrates the hell out of me. And why YouTube hasn't come up with a portrait player that fills the left-hand side of the screen yet is beyond me, because I would have thought that was fairly easy.
They have something that makes it less damaging now than it used to be, but yeah, it's still an issue. It's on mobile. You can watch a portrait video on YouTube and it will look normal finally. But then you get people saying, well, that's just encouraging people to bad behavior. But I'm glad to hear that you're defending the times when there are sensible reasons to use portrait video.
Well, I use portrait video in my keying studio as well. So if I've got someone who wants to walk along the keying wall, I shoot it in portrait because that gives me a bigger picture to then shrink and put in against a key background. So I get more definition and I've got more flexibility with the size that I use. Effectively, if you shoot portrait video on in a DSLR, you're effectively shooting 4K, if you like, of that person because it's double level. So.
Yeah, I mean, there is no wrong aspect ratio. It's all about compatibility between recording and playback, right? And what your purpose is. Makes sense. Squash Tacos submitted this next one on our subreddit. The NDTV article summarizing the latest Android distribution data from Google. Based on logging into the Play Store, Lollipop has risen to 21% share, good for third. Lollipop had just passed the 10% mark in June, so it's perking along there. KitKat has fallen, but still maintains the top spot at 39.2%, and Jelly Bean's 3 variants combined for second place at 31.8%. I don't know ever what to do with these numbers. They made it to the top of the subreddit in votes because people like to have arguments about fragmentation. But frankly, I don't think Android is super more fragmented than other operating systems have been in the past, and it looks like we're actually getting good uptake for Lollipop here.
I think there's too many people where they have absolutely no control over that. That's the real problem with those numbers. Is it's all based on the carriers. It's all based on what other people want you to do rather than what you want to do and what Google want you to do. Which is why I find it really churlish when Apple harp on about uptake of Android against iOS, because there is no choice.
Yeah. Engadget reports on Qualcomm's new Snapdragon Flight platform based on the Snapdragon 801 processor. It's for drones. And Qualcomm's not done. They want a little of that drone money. Qualcomm is providing communications and camera tech on one board. Platform supports 4K video, a variety of sensors and quick charge, dedicated video encoding, and dual image sensor support for depth sensing cameras. Fast Company says Unique, a Chinese company, will be the first drone maker to use the platform. It sounds like good ideas from Qualcomm. It's always, as usual, in the implementation.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definite interest there probably for surveying tools and that kind of stuff. I know that there's a few of the energy providers here in the UK use a German firm that survey size of coal stocks and that kind of thing, and they'll do a surface area flyby and then do a depth flyby, and the 3D on the 4K would be really useful for that. So I think the industrial uses will be massive for this, most definitely. But I mean, the problem that we've still got at the civil level is people flying their drone too close to houses with cameras on it and getting shot down in Kentucky.
Yeah, there's that. And just today, Governor Jerry Brown here in California vetoed a bill that would have prevented you from flying your drone over private property, which would have been almost unenforceable since there's so much private property everywhere. But yeah, working out the details of that is a much harder challenge than providing good chip platforms. We'll see if Qualcomm gets an uptake here. Thanks to everybody who submits stories in our subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. We appreciate it. It helps us put that whole lineup together every day. So get in there and do some voting, or at least do some submitting. And that is a look at the headlines. A very interesting article came out today. I think it was on TechCrunch where I saw it, yeah, about Flurries' app analytics report regarding apps versus TV viewing. Now, this is U.S.-based, but the average U.S. consumer spends 198 minutes a day in apps, according to Flurry, versus 168 minutes a day watching television. I don't know when they're working or sleeping or going to the bathroom. A lot of their time is spent in apps and TV. But I guess you can overlap. You can watch TV and use apps at the same time. They're not even counting browsers. Flurry said if we counted browser as an app, that app usage jumps to 220 minutes. And the other thing is that TV usage has been flat. It hasn't really been falling precipitously, but it hasn't been rising either, while app usage has been skyrocketing. And they think for the first time in 2015, in-app purchases will outperform mobile ads. And they're pointing a little bit to these new services like HBO Now and Showtime, where you make in-app subscriptions to video services. I know it's a little different in the UK just because of the different landscape of how television works, Ewan. Nearly a third of page views from mobile and tablets, though, according to ComScore in the UK recently. Only 17% of UK teenagers, 16 to 24, would miss their TV most if it was taken away. So it's not that far off. Do you think, here's my question, do you think we're just spending more time doing lots of different things now that entertainment with phones and tablets and computers has provided more ways to divert our attention?
I think there's a couple of things. So things like Netflix in terms of an app traction is high on the Apple TV and that kind of stuff. A lot of people watch that. We watch that an awful lot. We also watch an awful lot of stuff through the through Apple TV, and I don't know whether that's classed as an app you see now, or because it's a digital cord cut platform, so it perhaps falls within the criteria for this survey. I know for my own use, at the office here, if the cricket's on or the rugby's on or something like that and I want to do work, I've got my iPad sat here playing away with the Sky Go application, which I use religiously all over the place, even at home. And that for me has become a better way of watching Sky now, because the kids are usually hogging the TV with their own stuff, and it lets me to do it. And the other thing is as well, I can pull my phone out and I can carry on watching the rugby whilst I go and do the shopping for the wife who's cooking dinner and says, oh, we're short of so-and-so. I get the brownie points for getting the goods in, and I can still keep up with the rugby.
And, what they were saying on the Apple announcement yesterday was apps are a better experience. I don't tend to agree. I feel like a cross-platform experience where I get a little more flexibility, like the web, always ends up being a better experience. But we're in an app world right now, and what he's comparing it to when he says that on stage is comparing it to the ability to just turn on your television and watch either cable television or over the air. In that sense, you do get a better user interface when you're talking about apps, but I think it's beside the point. I don't think we're watching video on apps more because of the user interface. I think what we're doing is just, spending more time taking control of our own entertainment and our own amusements.
I think you've got the edge of me there, because one of the other problems that we've got is app use over here, because we don't get Hulu at all. We can't get any of the HBO Go stuff yet. So we don't have that app opportunity that the Americans have to watch this. And I think it's if you've got the Sky Now app, it's because you don't have Sky Television. Because if you've got Sky Television, you'll use the Sky Go gap as part of your package. And I don't think the uptake for Sky Now, and Sky Now, as far as in my own mind, I'm thinking it's the only app that really is out there, apart from iPlayer app, perhaps, for TV, and the catch-up apps and the ITV catch-up apps, which I don't see people using that an awful lot, because the catch-up stuff's usually very painful to try and watch with adverts and so on.
Actually, the iPlayer is not too bad, but I get what you're saying.
How would you know, Tom? You're not a
because every once in a while I visit England, obviously.
Oh, right. You don't come for tea?
Yeah, I should. It was rude of me, and I apologize for that. The VPN wouldn't let me through to tea for some reason. But what about not TV apps, though? I mean, I think that's the wider point I'm making is we hear, print is dying, music is dying, now television is on the rocks. And really none of that is true. People are reading more than ever. They're watching more video than ever. And they're playing with apps and they're playing games more than ever. They're listening to more music than ever. It's that we have more things. And so when I say more things, I'm not saying you have more apps to watch video necessarily, but even in the UK, I'm sure it's true that you have more choices to entertain you besides just video. You can play games, you can do all kinds of things.
Yeah, I mean, with the Amazon Fire TV box that I've got, it's great. There's tons of games to play. There's the controller with that, which is absolutely brilliant. There is a lot more things to do. Even going to the toilet in the morning before you go to work, you can take some entertainment with you.
Yeah, you can read your Feedly. I'm not saying that I know anyone who does that, but it does help you keep up on the tech news that you're preparing for every day. Our attention is pulled in more ways than ever, and within the verticals, within music, within reading, within video, we have more choices than we've ever had before. So I don't think that gets counted enough when people talk about the decline in music sales or the decline in advertising sales, is that there's not an overall decline in consumption of media or even in attention to media or even in creation of media. Do you think?
No, I think there's a lot of people taking an awful lot more in, and to a certain degree we're perhaps a little bit flirtatious with the information rather than engaged in the information, and a lot of it, it's in one ear and out the other.
Yeah,
it bounces off us rather than being absorbed by us.
Well, because that is one of the difficulties that I think as a society we're probably working through is that when you have that much information to deal with, it can be overwhelming, right? And that's where portals were positioning themselves in the early 2000s, and we've got apps that are trying to curate things for you. And nobody's ever cracked that balance between I'm going to curate and give you what you want based on your own tastes and actually delivering so that you want to continue to use that. I have not found one app that I don't fully control the curation on, like an RSS reader, that works and gives me things that I didn't know I wanted in a satisfying way.
Yeah, no, the suggestions of media in full stop, whether it's written or whether it's TV and video, is usually, it's kind of like you walk into a store and you say to the guy, here's what I absolutely want, and you give him the brand name and you say, this is what I want, and he takes you over to something else and goes, yeah, but this is better. And you're like, no, I don't want you to tell me what you need to sell because the store owner wants you to get rid of these. I want you to give me the thing I just told you about. And there's none of the apps do that. Nothing actually does it. It's all about pushing what they want you to get, what they're going to get the most clicks from, what they're going to get the most ad revenue from, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's where the money is, right? So it's a tension that has not been resolved yet. Let's get to our pick of the day. Funk Around, who apparently is British, wrote in with a pick of radio station BBC Six Music. You and I'd like to hear your opinion of this. Funk Around says it's the best station I've ever listened to, and in my humble opinion, the best station there is. This digital internet-only station serves up an incredibly eclectic mix of music. No other station, to my knowledge, can you hear Van Morrison, followed by Public Enemy, followed by Daft Punk, followed by Beck, followed by Kendrick Lamar. I hope a few members of the audience give it a listen and enjoy it. My advice to anyone checking out for the first time, have Shazam ready. You can thank me later.
Yeah, Six, if you look at the BBC channels that push out, I think, Radio 1 is aimed at a certain age and hits that certain age, and if you're not in that certain age, you see it as crass. Six is probably something which has got a little more of a broader spectrum, perhaps, for music. Radio 3 is all classical. Radio 4 is all discussion. So, yeah, I can see that Six is the best out there on the BBC networks. Whether it's the best of all time or quite as good as they've alluded to, I'm looking around the room here because I've got a couple of friends with me, and they're kind of rolling their eyes a little bit at that statement.
Well, I think
it's the best of the bad bunch.
I think he's reacting to the clamor around Beats One when it launched and how wide a variety you would have on that. And he's saying, hey, this existed already, and they have a wide variety as well.
I would say it's better than Beats One in my listening to Beats One so far. I think it is far more eclectic and far more diverse in its appeal, most definitely, than Beats One is. But I mean, when it comes down to it, it's radio DJs talking about themselves, which always kind of falls badly anyway. It
was nice to hear Zane Lowe on the announcement telling people to turn their phones to mute.
Yeah, that was quite nice, and what they were playing there seemed pretty pleasant as well. So.
Yeah. Send your picks to us, folks. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. You can find my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. Got a few messages today. Got to talk about the Apple announcement reactions. Regarding the iPhone upgrade program, Rich from lovely Cleveland writes, I think this could be laying a very practical groundwork for Apple eventually offering their oft-rumored MVNO. They're cutting off the carriers completely now from sales, subsidy, and warranty service, with the program getting consumers to associate with their carriers even less. For individuals and families completely bought into this program, the carrier is almost academic now, leaving room for Apple to make a move. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a similar program from Google with Project Fi. And then Ryan says, haven't any of you bought jewelry? Rose gold is a gold and copper alloy with a little bit of silver. It is very commonly used in jewelry and has been becoming more popular. The color used by the new iPhones very much resembles the look of rose gold and fits the name quite well. Stop making fun of rose gold, seems to be his opinion there.
Soapbox moved to one side. Thank you.
Yeah. My wife is switching back from Android. Big news here to iPhone, and she wants a rose gold one.
Yeah, there was quite a few Twitter comments this morning, and it seems to be a lady's colour. I don't wish to categorise or stereotype, but the tweets, anecdotally, the tweets I saw this morning from people going, "Ooh, rose gold," were predominantly ladies.
What do you think of this idea of Apple sort of secretly trying to capture away the carrier market from the carriers that Rich put forth there?
Yeah, no, I think there was more than one instance last night in the keynote where Apple had tried to play ball with the content creators and the carriers and all that kind of stuff, and they dragged their heels and they'd stuck in the mud. And Apple last night delivered a kind of FU to them in terms of the way that they looked at that. As you said, they've absolutely cut the carriers out now. Carriers be damned. You can provide an airwaves and nothing else because you get no more subsidies. You're getting nothing from us that helps you. So you either provide the airwaves and that's it, or nothing at all. And I think also if you look at the apps comment that they made with the Apple TV, that was because they couldn't curate their own Netflix-like streaming services that people could buy into. So therefore they said, right, stuff you, that's it. Yeah. And they've cut people off. And I think those markets are going to feel the pinch most definitely in the next couple of years. And Apple's too big to mess with. It's like a wasp stinging a bear and expecting the bear to run. Yeah. It ain't going to happen.
They've got some leverage over people, and it just keeps getting bigger. Overall, what was your summation of the announcements yesterday?
I think it was a game of two halves, mate, to quote Jimmy Greaves. The first half, they wowed me. I thought, Christ, I've spent the last month working hard so I could just give it all to Apple. And then the second half of it, it was just like, okay, you've gone too far. You've gone too long with iPhone. The 3D Force Touchy type thing, I thought they made more of that than there really was to it. Other apps have been dealing with long touch and prolonged touch secondary menus for quite a while. Developers are going to take that and run with it. And it was too long again, 2.5 hours, too much time to sit and watch. My wife had left the tea to stew on the table. I wasn't going to be back at 7:30 like I normally am, and they've got to whip that down because people switch off after about an hour and a half. I thought they did a really good first half job. Second half, no, you lost me. Sorry.
Well, it felt like they took their October announcement and pushed it into this one, and that's why it was 2 hours. Yeah. We would normally get an hour in September, an hour in October about iPads, and they just mushed them together. So I don't expect to get another announcement out of Apple for the rest of the year.
The dancing dog did it for me. You know the kind of like Happy Days jumping the shark thing. I think the dancing dog was Apple's jumping the shark. That did it for me.
Dancing the dog with Tim Cook. D-Dog wrote in with a little more info on Instagram's new advertising system that we mentioned yesterday. The targeting, he says, will be more detailed now. And D-Dog writes, in terms of quality, expect it to be similar to what we see now on Facebook. Previously, ads on Instagram had to be pre-approved, which was doable when ads were limited. Now it'll follow a similar process to what exists on Facebook. Images for advertising on Facebook are restricted to 20% text, and the company is constantly reminding advertisers of preserving a certain style when advertising on Instagram. Additionally, like Facebook, videos will still be tapped for sound despite being autoplay. So we're not going to see as nicely curated advertisements in Instagram as we used to. Does that bother you at all, Ewan?
Yeah, I think the online video market has kind of lost its soul a little bit with the advertising stuff. There's an awful lot of overlay advertising in videos now, where you see the X, but actually there's another transparent ad laid over the top that you end up clicking positively, which fools you into it. I think the perfect advertisement that there was in Google. YouTube rather, was the 5 second that you could skip, and everyone would go, oh yeah, but everyone was skipping the ads. Well, yeah, that was because your ads were crap. Yeah. Good adverts you watched. So there's the quality control, if you like. And we just talked about this on the Big Show. There's no way I'm sitting down watching a minute and a half in advertising to see a 30-second clip about the Grand Prix or about the football or about the rugby or about the American football. I just say, stuff it, I'm not having it. Go on.
When you're flipping through Instagram, though, is it going to bug you if there's some gaudy ad thing in your stream?
Yeah, I'll just move on. I think it doesn't. I think you're just hitting the tab to close it straight away. I don't think there's any positive to it at all. I think advertising. Well, maybe advertising's at that point now where it's this is a painful thing that it's got to go through. It's its adolescence perhaps, and it'll come out the other side and be a bit more mature about the way it deals with its consumers.
Internet advertising for sure. Yeah, I think you're right.
James,
the aircraft mechanic in Lake Charles, Louisiana, said, wanted to weigh in on your email from Tuesday regarding using the smartwatch to get around phone restrictions. I work on military surveillance aircraft. Hopefully that's sufficiently vague. Around here, we also have strict phone restrictions, and I hadn't thought of a smartwatch as a way to get around this. I'll have to listen back to hear exactly what model he was using. It was the Gear S, by the way. But another brilliant workaround from the DTNS community, says James. Well, there you go. Yeah, and a lot of people wrote in and said, hey, it's the camera in the phone is often the problem, or just, some places of work aren't necessarily particularly finicky about security with the phone, but they just don't want people distracted, so they make them leave their phones, but they aren't going to make them leave their watches.
I love the fact that he's put down surveillance aircraft, hopefully that's vague enough, and then he puts his address down. And the address that he's put down clearly means he's U2.
Yeah, well, there are all kinds of things going on over there in that corner of the world. And then Allison Sheridan wrote in and pointed out there's a mode on Roku you can turn on that if you hit the 30-second back button, it turns on subtitles temporarily when it replays. She says Siri is cooler, of course, but Roku can already do that. And I'm pretty sure voice search on the other devices requires a special remote. We've been going back and forth about this. Fire TV, if you buy the box, gives you the remote with the microphone in it. It doesn't if you buy the dongle. You have to buy that remote separately if you buy the dongle. I think the current Roku 3 gives you the voice-activated remote, but not the older Roku 3s, if I have this right. So it's again, nothing in that Apple announcement was new. There was nothing that they announced that Apple is the first one to do, but that's always the way it is. Apple's position is always, we're not the first to do it, but we're the best to do it. And you can decide whether you agree with them or not, but it's funny, like for more than 10 years now, and every time there's an Apple announcement, somebody comes out and points out all the things that other people have done first. And it's like, yeah, of course, that's going to happen every time.
I love the fact they invented the Wiimote last night. That was awesome. I never saw that coming.
Yeah. And apparently works from the things I've read. I can't wait to try that, actually. See if it actually lives up to the hype. But that's it for this episode of Daily Tech News Show. Folks, if you haven't checked out the British Tech Network, it's just getting bigger and better all the time. Go to BritishTechNetwork.com. Follow Ewan on Twitter to find out what's happening over there. Twitter.com/Ewen Rankin. That's EwenRankin. You guys are killing it, man. Congratulations.
We're just having a great time. I mean, none of us are we're not like you. We're not ready to buy CBS or anything yet. So.
Oh, believe me, I'm not ready to buy CBS. I'm ready to buy groceries. I'm very happy about that, yeah.
No, we just do it for a lot of fun. We've got several shows on there. We've got some fantastic people in the back room helping us out. We've just started streaming HTML5 rather than just Flash all the time, which is great. That's working smoothly. That's thanks to Anders. He's done that. We've had a Hoya tie-up with the guys there, and they've been helping us out with optics and stuff for the studio. And that's really been great. And also, we've just got new shows coming. We've got the guitar show with Lee Peterson, where he takes you through how to do the backing track, how to do the solo for a guitar each week in a lesson. And we've just got great people around us. It's really nice time at the moment. Real renaissance at BTN. And you need to come on as well. We haven't seen you in ages, dude.
I know, man. I'm sorry. I've just overcommitted this entire year. Yeah. I will be back, though. I promise.
Be less popular.
Or just less busy. But folks, go check it out, man. There's some good stuff. BritishTechNetwork.com. And thanks to the folks who let me buy groceries, the bosses, the patrons, and the folks who keep the show going. You mean the world to us. If you can support the show, if you get some value out of the show and you want to give some value back, go to patreon.com/acedetect. Or if you can't give on a regular basis, you can use PayPal to give once, just a couple of bucks in the tip jar, or maybe buy a mug at dailytechnewsshow.com/store. All those links are at dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
Jane Martin in the chat room wants to specify as your add-ons, what's the CBS buying level in Patreon. So you've got a goal there now.
That's a good idea.
Put that on.
Yeah. I should put the non basic meal items, the chocolates and such, as an extra one. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can give us a call, 51259-DAILY. Listen to the show live Monday through Friday at 4:30 Eastern at alphageekradio.com, and visit our website, dailytechnewsshow.com. We'll be back tomorrow with Natalie Morris and Len Peralta. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Great show as always, man.
Thanks, buddy. That was really nice.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
With the Colbert level. They're setting a whole new Patreon goal levels for you.
Yeah, the CVS level for my Sudafed.
You got a cold, dude.
Yeah, a little
I
bit.
noticed you turning away and spluttering a bit.
Little bit post Dragon Con ridiculousness.
Oh, didn't you do the fist bump? You shook hands then.
Yeah, a little too often. Stopped eating my kale. That's what happened. So what should we call this?
I have some ideas.
Do you?
We've got Periscope widens expectations.
That's pretty good, BioCow. Nicely done.
I like that. It's an app world.
Okay, yeah.
Which is great because it's about the actual discussion title. Gentrifragmentation.
Yeah.
Let's see. Too Many Companions, which has the dual Doctor Who benefit. Landscape Ho, as viewed through Periscope.
That could
leave Rose Gold alone.
Nice. Yeah, I was surprised. Eileen doesn't usually like pink, but she said she likes it because it's the only color. Like everything else is so muted.
I think it's Rose, love.
Yeah. Well, middle name's Rose, so there you go.
Subliminal marketing from Apple.
Yeah.
All the people who've got middle name Rose
are all going to buy that phone or that watch. It's just pink.
Middle name Rose. There's your show title.
Yeah.
Fred had appetite issues.
Oh dear.
Rose.
Oh, there's also Periscope's up and down.
Ah, right. Either
Periscope
way.
sideways.
90 or 180. Well, I like Periscope widens expectations, but I get that it's an app world fits the title. So I don't know. Do you either
guys,
of you?
maybe they take 30 more seconds to vote on it.
All right. Showbot.tv. Get in there and vote.
Do it.
I'm still levelating.
There's still time.
All right. 30 seconds? How many seconds?
Sure, 40 seconds to catch up so that they can actually hear
right.
it. Followed by 30 seconds to vote.
Yeah.
No, the only thing we had was when we were running Flash, we had a 2-second delay to the world on the server. And it was awesome because the chat room was virtually running in real time by the time they finished.
Oh, wow.
typing.
That's amazing.
But now we've gone to HTML5 because of the software. We're back to 30 seconds. It's not horrific, but...
That will get better, though. It's going to be a
times-
while, but that will eventually be conquered.
Yeah, there was times we were at 45 seconds to a minute and a half at times on YouTube and live stream.
Yeah.
Big vote for Hoyer in the chat room, Mark. Really? Thanks for all the filters, he says.
Oh, nice.
They're making glasses now.
We have used It's a mod world before,
Right,
as
that's
Dark
true.
Redeemer points out. So, I don't know what that means.
Apparently, we're periscoping the show at the moment. In
Oh,
portrait.
good. Excellent.
Okay.
In portrait. Even better.
No, you can't change it over once you've started, mate. That's it. Metadata is set.
I don't know. Jenny, can we just go with It's an app world then?
I say so. There's never too many times to reference that movie. Let's get real.
Fine. Done. I did different titles on YouTube than I did on the podcast yesterday. It was insanity.
What happened?
I left the original Apple title on the YouTube video, and then I used a different title on the podcast.
Wow. That is all
It was a
universal.
little A/B
confusing.
testing. Yeah. All right, I'm exporting now.
34 inches of curve.
It's an app world show binder, if you need to know. That is what has been picked.
Yerp.
Ba-doop-ba-doop-ba-doop. That's pretty late over there, Ewan. If you need to go,
No, good. If you want to get rid of me,
don't
that's
stand
fine.
on, sir. No, not at all.
What do you? So, how are you fixed for Mac Show, etc.?
You're on Fridays
Are you still up?
at 7, right?
Fridays at 7 a.m. for you.
Yeah, you know what? In October, my schedule frees up. So, like, October.
Which year?
Okay, yeah, this year. Good question, though. Like, from October 9th, that Friday on, one of those could work.
Okay. We should get you an email sorted out.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. Make it happen.
Yeah.
Too many cooks.
You said it. Now it's back in my head.
I'm sorry.
What is your problem?
I know. I'm an evil man.
Oh man, you just saying about us killing it. You are absolutely rocking and rolling at the moment with this and Cord Killers and
Things are going.
yeah.
Oh, it's only 10:07 p.m. says Bat.
Yeah.
That's when I go to sleep.
Mm-hmm. Especially in this heat. I was passing out at 9:30 the last 2 days.
I mean, it must be hot as well if you guys are complaining about the heat because you're acclimatized a little bit more than we. I mean, we had a really nice day today, but it's September air, so it's cool and crisp, and it's
Oh,
nighttime.
that sounds great.
100
Yeah.
degrees yesterday.
Oh man! Now at the moment, it's the kind of perfect weather. If you get a really nice day during the day, but it gets cooler at night, is to get the log burner going out in the garden and pull on a fleece or something and sit out in front of that, and it's just cool and crisp around your legs and your face and that kind of stuff. But it's you're getting some heat off the fire. It's a good
Get a nice
counterpart
warm
balance.
cider.
And you got the precipitation's low as well now in September, whereas it's higher in April and the winds are up in April. So it's a really nice time.
That sounds lovely.
And you get clear skies as well. You can get some because you're getting a slightly earlier night, so you can drag the telescope out about 8:30 instead of 11 o'clock.
You been doing that?
Oh yeah, I've got a Dobsonian that's 150 millimeters. It's great.
Nice.
We had the 4 moons of Jupiter on about 3 months ago. It was awesome. Great view.
We should, because you know a whole lot about photography, my friend.
I hope so.
Yeah, and we should do a photography episode one of these
I'm in.
days. Yeah.
If you do a monthly one, then you can cover that. I used to do the photo show on my own,
Right.
but it's like a day to put it together, and I couldn't afford effectively 1.5 days a week to just put out a photography podcast. So I need to do a monthly show, most definitely. So yeah, if you want to do like 1 day a month of photo, then I'll gather some news stories together with you. Definitely.
Yeah, let's kick stuff around. I feel like we could put together something good, even if it's not always like every month.
Yeah.
You know, there's always photo news, and I'm photo dumb.
Well, Canon dropped a 250 megapixel camera, didn't they?
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, that's going to be scientific and commercial use because there's no way that's going to hit
Right.
the commercial market.
It's industrial stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting shit now about not doing the photo show. Sorry.
Oops,
I shouldn't
sorry,
have.
didn't mean to bring it up.
Exactly. It's one of those things. It's like you mention it, and it's like all I take is abuse for the next week on email.
People forgotten all about it till you remind them. And
Yeah.
all right. Let's see. I think I've got this. He's Canon biased.
I am Canon. Well, I am Canon biased, and if you go back 3 years, I'd have ditched all my Canons for a Nikon in a heartbeat. But I'm just too bought into the lenses. That's the trouble. I got 30 grand's worth of lenses. So
that's the great issue with cameras. It's kind of like the mafia. Once you buy into a system, unless you can find someone to offload it to and get maybe 80% of what you put into it, you're kind of, I hate to say it, but you're kind of stuck with it.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, like, was it the Sony? Which one is it? The Sony one that
Ace.
Everyone loves, but all the Sony glass is like twice as expensive as Canon stuff. But you can get the adapters, but that kind of just adds weight.
But there's a lot of the Sony stuff. There's some of the Sony stuff does Micro Four Thirds as well. So
Sony's their own now. I think they finally ditched the Alpha, whatever the Alpha mount was, and settled on the E mount, and then they have the full frame.
Guy asked me the other day about, I need to buy a DSLR. What should I buy? And I said, Micro Four Thirds all through now. It's not Canon and Nikon. Just get the stuff. You can get tons of stuff for it, and it's better pricing by a long way.
There we go. We've got our second guest, Roger. I'll just say, so photos are interesting, and then you guys talk.
Well, no, it's like the issue with Micro Four Thirds, though, is that it's almost, I hate to use this word, but it's almost bipolar because it's so dominated by Olympus and Panasonic at this point that there really hasn't been kind of a cohesive focus on developing like an actual comparable sensor that Sony's been making for everyone and their uncle, including Nikon, right? They're making the sensor for well, that's what it is. Sorry, that's my kid. For Nikon's lineup.
Very upset about sensors.
Yes.
But a lot of people overspec what they want to shoot. In terms of the camera purchase that they make, they'll buy something because it's a higher end. And actually, even as a pro, I wouldn't use some stuff at the higher end. Everyone's raving about 4K. Most of the stuff that I make in video gets shown on a crappy projector in a boardroom. So what the hell do I need 4K for? And it's. I think that's the difference with pros and amateurs is they'll buy over spec stuff rather than what they actually need for what they actually shoot.
I'm actually really drawn less to the Sony and more to Panasonic is the hybrid DSLR video camera, like with the GH4 GH. All right, excuse me.
Yeah, it's all right.
All right. Well, I'm out of the post anyway, so we should probably end this. But thank you again, Ewan. That was awesome.
Pleasure, mate. See you again soon, I hope.
Absolutely. Talk to you all later, folks. Goodbye.